Welcome back to Max Out, everybody. This is Ed Mylett. Today is not a normal program. I have a true American hero sitting across the table from me here today. So if you don't recognize this face, let me tell you who he is. This is Robert O'Neill. And we've had a lot of sports people on here, a lot of entertainers that in most people's minds are heroes. And then in life, you meet a real hero. He doesn't consider himself one, but he is one. And so let me give him the proper introduction just so you know who this man is. 52 decorations in the military, 2 Silver Stars, 4 Bronze Star medals with Valor, Joint Service Commendation Medal with Valor, 3 Presidential Unit citations, 2 Navy, Marine, and Navy Corps combinations with Valor, service, 400 different combat missions, 400. If you've watched the movie Captain Phillips, this is the first guy onto the boat when the Somali pirates had that boat. If you've watched Lone Survivor with Marcus Luttrell, he was on that recovery mission. And by the way, he also killed Osama bin Laden. And so thank you for being here.
I appreciate that. And like you mentioned too, it's not a hero thing. I was very fortunate to be with incredible teams.
I know you
from
were.
all branches of the service. And everyone was there. And the Captain Phillips thing, I was not one of the shooters. I was the lead jumper for that. And the snipers that were there with really no time. We're watching to make sure nothing unsafe happened when they shot, which is incredible. And, and it's an amazing journey, all because of right place, right time.
Right place, right time.
Positive attitude.
And right man, which we're going to talk about today. And so also thank you for your service.
It was an honor.
Not just being here, so thank you. How's that for a hero, everybody? And so we're going to get into the mind of this man today. We're going to talk about team building, what he's up to today, and obviously some of the great things that you've been a part of on the teams you were a part of. And so all great things happen as being a part of a team. Both you and I know that. But then there's blessing when the opportunity arrives, we meet it with our preparation, which is what you did.
That's exactly right, too. Meet it with your preparation. Never the perfect plan, because that's never going to happen. Like we'll get into it later, too, but the bin Laden raid, we had the perfect plan. And nothing came to fruition.
Nothing worked.
Everything, the worst possible thing to happen happened.
Wow. Okay. Let's get right into that.
All right,
okay, let's do that first. Let me ask you before we get to that. I'm just curious. Why'd you get in the military in the first place?
That's another one too. It was never a plan. I was actually playing college basketball, and I was going to work with my dad when I got out of college, and I got dumped by a girl and wanted to leave Butte, Montana.
Come on.
Yep. The first line in my book, The Operator, it says, I owe my career as a Navy SEAL to a girl. And that was an accident too, because I didn't want to join the Navy, I wanted to join the Marines.
Okay.
So because I'm a hunter, and I wanted to be a sniper, and Marine snipers, Carlos Hathcock, just kick ass. The uniforms, Marines.
Right.
So I went to join, and as luck would have it, the Marine recruiter wasn't in there. The Navy guy was sitting there. And the only reason that I went to the Navy guy is because I had 2 friends I grew up with, Ben and Jim, who were Marines. They're 2 years older. And they told me that the Marine Corps is actually part of the Department of the Navy. It's just the men's department. So I went to ask the Navy guy, when's he come back from lunch? And he goes, well, why do you want the Marine? And I said, well, I want to be a sniper. And he's this clever recruiter. He was wearing khakis. He's a Navy chief. Clever guys. And he goes, oh, we have snipers in the Navy. Look no further. And he quickly said, you need to become a Navy SEAL first. No big deal. Then we'll send you to sniper school. And I didn't know how to swim.
Come on.
And this guy talked me into it, because I remember being so dumb. I'm like, I'm naive, but this guy's a professional recruiter. Why would he lie to me?
Oh my gosh, that's
amazing. It. And then when I got in, he showed me the videos. I'm like, holy crap. I don't know these strokes. I can't swim. And I said, well, I'll be positive about it. I'll go to San Diego. I'll see this cool training. I probably won't make it, but then I'll go to the fleet and be in the Navy and have sea stories when I come back home to Maloney's Bar in Butte, Montana. But then I made it through.
Are you being serious?
That's what happened. Yeah.
So you ended up, because the other recruiter no-shows.
He wasn't there. We didn't know I was coming in. I just went in to leave town.
Because of the girl?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And that story's kind of common. Well, both of them, that people went to join the Army, but they weren't there, and they joined the Marine Corps. And like, it's so funny, like 80% of the all-volunteer military is there because someone dumped them.
That's unbelievable.
And men and women both.
And you became a Navy SEAL but couldn't swim.
Well, I learned, I had 5 months from the time I signed till the time I left, and I had a friend I went to high school with who swam at Notre Dame. I ran into him by luck too at the pool. He was like, I've never seen you at the pool before. What's going on? And I said, I just joined the Navy, and I'm going to be a SEAL. And he goes, oh, not like that, you're not. And he taught me like the breaststroke.
Unbelievable. So you know the breaststroke going
and the side stroke.
Okay, that's incredible. So I have this theory I tell people all the time. I say that life doesn't happen for you, or to you, it happens for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? And these things all, it's amazing that the guy who ends up killing the most evil person of our time,
yeah.
of the modern time, ends up in the SEAL program by mistake, by default, because of a girl.
If you figure this, a semi-decent shaped white kid that can't swim from Butte, Montana, becomes a Navy SEAL and ends up in bin Laden's bedroom just because of a positive attitude. It doesn't matter what you look like or where you're from. You can do anything. Just keep your head in it. Avoid the negativity.
Oh my God.
That's it.
Oh my God.
And that's proof. I mean, I call my book The Operator, not because I'm calling myself the operator. I'm talking about the life of the operator.
Yes.
Every Ranger, every Green Beret, every Navy SEAL, and the stories are similar. And it's the two things are positive attitude, sense of humor.
Sense of humor. I did notice that about you right when we met too. Like that's, I got to say one thing about this book, The Operator. Like if you have not read it, I have, but if you've not read it, this is something. Once you start reading it, it's just the truth too. Like
Thank you.
You cannot stop reading this book. I mean, it's because it's actual real stuff. I mean, I read the book in a day, and I'm telling you, like I was trying to get rid of other appointments I had to finish reading this book. So get this book.
I had a similar experience. My wife Jessica talked me into reading the audiobook too, because she said no one can tell your stories. You have to do it. And as I'm in that booth, they can hear every gurgle, and I'm reading this book. I remember thinking, this is a pretty goddamn good book.
Even though it was your own life,
it's mine.
This is pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that life definitely happens for us, and that also the big things in our life never show up the way we envisioned them. And like in other words, when you were a 12-year-old boy, this was your dream, your picture of what was going to be a defining moment of your life was not being in a room with Osama bin Laden, right? This is how amazing how when you just chase your dream, bust your ass, have positive attitude.
Even being at a SEAL team that could potentially get bin Laden when we didn't know where the hell he was, and we're in Iraq fighting, and we would mess with people. I was a battlefield interrogator, which means you take the house down, you get the men, and you question them. Basically, you're not waterboarding and any of that stuff, but. I remember like messing with guys, and I would say like, hey, who's the man of the house? Where's the mosque? And I would say, where's Osama bin Laden? And we would both laugh like, no one knows where he is. So even as a member of that SEAL team,
it's incredible.
I'm never going to get him.
That's incredible.
I'm never going to be there. It's going to be the Army guys that get him.
That's incredible. Yeah. Okay, but you do get him.
Yeah.
So let's walk through that for a second. Okay, because you talk about preparation, positive attitude preparation. So you did you know when you were prepping that you were prepping for him?
They told us about 3 weeks before we left that it was bin Laden. And that was one of the coolest things because at first they started off with, they called us, we were all on our, we just finished a deployment. I think it was my 12th combat deployment. And we were on a diving trip in Miami. And we were always good about that too. After deployment, after war, we would do a training trip, but it was always a good deal, like diving in Miami, climbing in Vegas.
Right.
Shit like
but
that.
the diving in Miami, by the way, the other thing about being a SEAL, I just want to say, you don't like sharks.
I respect them now. I had a run-in with one time, and that's enough. But no, I mean, anyone that's been in the ocean has had a positive encounter with a shark and don't realize it. They're out there. And they don't mess with you. They really do. It's usually by accident or a juvenile, a young great white. The problem with the great white is he's curious, and if they bite you, I use the word devastating.
Unbelievable. Like, are you listening to this? Like, it's unbelievable.
I've never been attacked by a shark. I've seen them. But,
so you're prepping.
But we're diving in Miami, and they called the senior guys back.
Okay.
So I was one of them. My number two was my boss was there. And we sat in a room, and the first thing they said is, well, here's the deal. This isn't a drill. We found a thing, and this thing is in a house, and this house is in a bowl, in some mountains near a lake, in a country, and you guys are going to fly in there, and you're going to get this thing, and you're going to bring it back. That's it. And so it actually started off, okay, no problem. What's the thing? Can't tell you. Okay. Where's the bowl? Can't tell you. What country? Can't tell you. How are we getting there? Can't tell you. And then we're like, how much air support do we have? And they said, well, none. And we're like, well, at least that's an answer. So we assumed it was Gaddafi because the Arab Spring just started. It's March 2011. Not even go kill Gaddafi, but like recover him or whatever they want to do. But then eventually we started to put two and two together, and they drove us down to. They gave us a day at home with our kids, and we drove down. And then the commanding officer from my SEAL team, he walked in the room as calm as ever and said, "All right, guys, the reason you're here is this is as close as we've ever been to Osama bin Laden."
What happened to your body when you heard that?
A little bit of goosebumps, but I've heard reports of cheers and high fives. I looked around and everyone is professional. These are very professional Navy SEALs. And the first question was, cool, are we going right now? Let's do it, we're ready. And they said, well, no, we need to show you everything. And then there are like 5 options. Are we going to bomb them this way, bomb them that way? And they actually said, are you going to do a multilateral mission with the Pakistani military? And everyone laughed, like, seriously?
Right.
You tell them
Right.
that we're going to get bin
Right.
Laden. He
Right.
is
He's
gone.
gone.
You will
Right.
never find him. And then they wanted us to train as a unilateral option. So the powers that be wanted to see us train.
Okay.
I understand that. We knew we could go. We've been doing it every night for years.
Okay.
So we just started training. They had a site there, and we're training on it, whatever. And we went there. We went to a place out west that I'm not allowed to talk about. And then we forward launched to Jalalabad Airfield just in case the president gave us the green light. And President Obama was really cool about it because there was one person that was sure bin Laden was there, and she was the famous 3-letter agency woman.
Yes.
She was funny.
Yes.
And she was just that awesome because she would be like, 100%, he's in this house on the 3rd floor. Why aren't we going now?
Really?
He's there.
Is she the same as you see her in the movie?
Yeah, looks a little different, attractive, but different.
Personality.
Oh, total.
Okay.
Jessica Chastain nailed it.
Okay.
But but President Obama was one, and he was just cool later. He said, look, after hearing about your training, I wasn't 100% sure he was there, but I was 100% sure you guys could go in, find out, and come back.
Oh my gosh.
And that's why we got the.
How long was the training, the prep before you went?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so then do you ultimately end up getting a phone call? Do they gather you in a room and say we're going tomorrow, or what?
Well,
happens?
we trained in 2 different areas. We had to train on those stealth helicopters that the pilots who don't get nearly enough credit because they'd never flown those before.
Yeah.
Didn't know about those before.
Yeah.
But we knew we were going to go over there. I think it was on a Monday or a Tuesday, just to be there in case they call us. We're ready to launch from Afghanistan, the closest base to the border.
Okay.
And so we knew we were going. We forward staged, and that that's when we said goodbye to the kids, which is hard because we didn't think we were coming back from that mission. We thought it was if we get the green light, it's a one-way mission.
So let's talk about that for a second. You thought you were going to die.
Yes.
In fact, you knew you were going to die.
I knew we weren't coming back.
And your teammates also know this as well,
Yes,
right?
everyone was to the
Why
point.
did you know that? Was this because there's going to be
we don't know if the technology works. We don't know how good their air defenses are. Maybe the young kid that's very aggressive is on the radar that night. There are no checkpoints. People don't understand when you do a long-range helicopter mission, there are usually checkpoints to refuel. There are none of those. So we have to be exact with the pounds of weight that we have. So we get shot down.
Okay.
If anyone's going to blow himself up and his entire family when the team's in the house, bin Laden will do it.
Yeah.
Martyr himself and his entire family.
Yeah.
We run out of fuel, and there's 23 guys in Pakistan. We invaded them. We have nowhere to go. We end our lives in a Pakistani prison. We don't know what's going to. So, but we accepted it, and the way that I always explain
Gosh,
this.
those are not great scenarios.
No, but we're going because I had a guy on the team that actually he ended up being the guy that was in front of me going up the stairs, the last set of stairs that said, "Don't get me wrong, I'm going 100% going on the mission, but I have to say this out loud to hear it. If we know we're going to die, why are we going?"
What did you say?
So we had a conversation, a bunch of us, and what we decided was the best way to put it into perspective is we're not going after bin Laden for fame. We're not going after bin Laden for money. We are going for the single mom who dropped her kids off at elementary school on a brilliant Tuesday morning, and 45 minutes later she jumped to her death out of a skyscraper because that was a better alternative than 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit inside. Her last gesture of human decency was to hold her skirt to her knees so that no one could see her underwear as she killed herself. And we said, she wasn't supposed to do that. She's not supposed to be in the fight. We're supposed to be in the fight, and that's why we're going.
Oh my God.
And then if you think about it too, it's almost like the Braveheart speech. If I could give every day from being 34 to 90, if I lived to 90 and I look back on that one day and I didn't go, I would give all those days to go on this mission.
Oh my God.
This is why we're here. This is what we're doing. This is why we joined.
This is not a movie, though. You're real men.
Oh, yeah.
And these are real decisions.
And it was just, it wasn't fear on this one. It was,
Is that right?
It was focus. And even when we launched, it wasn't because we've been to war. Every single guy had hundreds of missions.
Yeah.
But before this one, we all hugged each other, and it just.
Did you really?
Oh yeah.
And you said earlier, I was going to ask you about this because I say good night to my children.
Yes.
But I'm going to see them again. You've literally said goodbye.
Goodbye. Looking him in the eyes.
How many times have you done that?
11 there's one daughter that was always involved. I have 3 daughters. I don't want to talk about them too much for obvious reasons.
Sure.
But one was just there all the time. And when I left for that, she was 7. And I wrote her a letter, but I didn't write it to the 7-year-old. I wrote it to the 27-year-old. I'm really sorry I missed your wedding. I know you were beautiful. Thank you for taking care of your sisters. What we did was noble. And and one of my regrets in life is that when I finished these letters, I wrote them to everybody in my family. I had to hand them I had to find someone I could trust on the base.
Because the guys going with you aren't coming back either. Yeah. They're dying too. Oh my gosh.
And definite instructions, what to do when he didn't even know what we were doing.
You couldn't tell him.
But it's like, you'll know, you need to keep these. As soon as I got back, I shredded them. And I wish I would have kept them.
You wish you would have kept those.
Yeah, I just didn't want to read them again. It wasn't a happy
That's got to be an amazing experience even to this day to have been writing those letters thinking
it's
we're
tough.
dying.
Tears are hitting the page.
Is that right?
Yeah. And this is something they're going to keep forever.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, of course they are.
And I'm writing them. This is the last communication with them, and then but then we're on, and it's just. I mean, it was. The feeling was so cool because when President George Bush addressed the world on 9/11, his quote, and I have a tattoo, it says, "Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward, and freedom will be defended." And when he said freedom will be defended, he meant everyone, and that team represented everyone.
Oh my gosh, brother!
Isn't that crazy?
Unbelievable.
That's the intensity that we weren't scared.
You weren't scared.
We were fired up.
You were going there to die, but you were fired up and focused.
But we're going to kill him too,
You're gonna kill
and he
him
deserves
too.
it.
Oh my gosh. So you get the call,
Yep.
and now, as I understand it, there's this helicopter ride over, and it's not a short one.
90 minutes.
It's 90 minutes,
Yeah.
right? And so there's all kinds of situations that could happen on the way over there
Yeah.
as well. I'm
Well,
curious.
that's where the pilots come in too, because
Okay.
they're flying very low.
Okay.
And they're flying technology that they're not, they've flown helicopters. They're the best 4 pilots in the world. And Army, I'll give Army a shout out. They have the best helicopter pilots in the world. That's what I love about the military too. The best Air Force in the world is the U.S. Air Force. The second best Air Force is the U.S. Navy. There's the U.S. Army. It's awesome. They're the smart guys. They're the guys that need to get us there. And we're in back. And what was really unique about this team is guys have been in combat so much, we realize you got to get rid of the noise. Get rid of the stuff that doesn't matter. Like getting shot down, you worrying about that will not stop it. So knock it off. So guys fell asleep. Guys fell asleep on the ride to bin Laden's house.
My God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And
you talk about focus and
sleep. I'm asleep.
Wow.
Guys put their iPods in, chilling. I was counting.
counted.
0 to 1,000, 0.
And now that I've read enough about military stuff, not being a military person, that's actually something kind of the senior guys pass down sometimes to junior guys. Did you learn that from somebody?
I learned it on my own as a sniper in Kosovo, because right around 9/11, we were in Kosovo. There was obviously stuff going there in Bosnia, and sniper's not really a great word, but we were observing different areas. So basically you're hiding and you're looking through a scope for 4 hours on, 4 hours off. And as you're looking, 4 hours of looking, it's like I just count.
You count.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and did you not then eventually sort of repeat that phrase to yourself too?
Well, I did, because that's how I remembered it, was we were 80 minutes in and we banked to the south. And I was just like, 456, 457. 458, freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless cat. I don't know how I remembered it.
God bless you, man.
And so then that's when it sort of sunk in. It's like, I'm actually on this mission.
You were.
And
That's when it sunk in.
We're going after. And then it got better because we opened the door at 2 minutes out. The air crew did.
Yes.
And that's other people that don't get credit. They put their butts in the seat too.
Yeah.
The air crew guys, we wouldn't have figured the doors out. These guys did it. So they'd open the door and then you see the city and there's lights. This is a resort town. There's a golf course.
Is that right?
And it sort of hit me, and I was like, "This is some serious Navy SEAL shit we're about to do."
Oh my God!
Yeah, and then everything was great, and then it all hit the fan. Helicopter crash landed in the front yard.
Yes.
And
did you know that though?
No.
You didn't know that. So everyone understand this. So the helicopter in front of you crashed. This was clearly not part of the plan.
It was a crash landing.
Crash landing. It crashed on the wall or something, didn't it?
The pilot was so good that in less than a second, he realized he couldn't hover. Then he realized if he tries to power up, he explained this to me, I'm not a pilot, that if he tries to power up, it's going to roll and everyone dies. He knew if he spun it, he could put the tail on the wall and pin it to the ground.
That's unreal.
And
That's unreal.
He saved everyone's life.
That's unreal.
You know what's funny too is we'd practice fast roping, which is, they put the rope out, you slide down like a fireman's pole, so much that like my tendons were done.
Yeah.
We practiced fast roping more than I've ever trained. The only person to fast rope on the bin Laden mission was the pilot. Because when he crashed it, he had to get the rope and slide his ass down.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But so that happened, and then our pilot saw that. We didn't.
Yeah, you didn't know.
We didn't know. And so our plan was they were going to put our snipers and our dog Cairo outside, and then they're going to put us up on the rooftop.
Yes.
And we knew our team would be coming from the bottom, we're from the top, we're going to get him. That way he can't get out. That's the perfect plan.
Okay.
Never happened.
Never
Our
happened.
pilot saw that, and as we were going to lit, he put right back down.
Crazy.
And just because of the effective communication, nonverbal communication, I guess we're getting out here. I remember putting my right foot on the ground and saying, I guess we start the war from here.
My gosh.
And then we go to the northeast corner. We knew the place inside and out. It was nice that we had trained so much because we knew everything about it.
Yeah.
We knew there was a double door on the northeast corner, so we went over that. Our breacher took I think a 7-foot charge of C6, put it on the door, and he blew it, and it opened like a tin can, but there's a brick wall behind it. So it's a fake
Yep,
door.
yep.
And the breacher actually said, fail breach, this is bad. And I said, no, this is good. That's a fake.
Yeah.
He's in there.
Why is it good? Oh, it's good because that means
They're
he is
faking
here.
a door. He's there.
That means this dude's here.
And it was funny. We talked about sensitive humor. We joked about crap like that. Like, what if we get in the house and the hallway gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and also the door's this big, and you're like, Bin Laden,
But there's not a lot of that going on. So on the way over, there's no rah-rah session on the way over. Everyone's getting in their focus. They're sleeping. They're counting.
I had one of my guys say, I'm not nervous. We do this every night. We fly somewhere, we fuck with some people, we fly back. He just goes, this is a longer flight.
Okay, so this door is the wrong door.
So then when we got to this point, we heard the helicopter saying, we thought they were saying -1 going around, meaning they came into hover, and this -1, we're -2, and they took fire, so we thought they were going around. Racetrack, reattack, but what they were saying was -1 going down.
Down.
So we said to them, because we thought they were flying, there's a carport is what we called it. Another double door that we knew worked because the imagery showed them driving in and out of it. And we said, all right, we're going to blow the carport now.
Okay.
And they said, don't blow it, we'll just open it.
The other guys, because they're inside now.
But we didn't know that, and it didn't make sense. And the door opened, and a thumb comes out. Now, this is another point in life. It didn't make sense why they're there, but that doesn't matter because they're there. We'll just let's deal with the problem. We'll talk about it later. Worrying about how this happened, we're just here. So we start going in. None of us, well, I didn't, and a couple other guys on the helicopter, we didn't know they crashed, but they're in there. So we start, now my guys have been in gunfights. They already killed 3 of the terrorists before I got in there. And I was fortunate because of my position now, I'm in the back. I have a front row seat to the coolest mission in modern history.
Yes.
So we go in and we're looking down a long hallway. We're in Bin Laden's house.
Yes.
And we're like looking around for bombs and stuff. When's it going to blow up?
Yes.
But I was so impressed. My guys were so cool. No one cared about the bombs. They're doing their job. And I remember thinking how cool they are, and then just thinking slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Watch these guys work. And as I'm thinking this, I ducked into a room to look down the hallway because don't stand in the hallway. They'll shoot down the hallway. The guy next to me said, helicopter crashed. And now I'm thinking, we had 2 big helicopters, 2 Chinooks, 45 minutes behind us, full of other SEALs, in case we need to, whatever.
Yep.
So I'm assuming they crashed. They got shot down because they're not stealth helicopters. So I said, what helicopter crashed? And he goes, bro, our helicopter crashed in the front yard. You walked right past it.
Wow.
And as I'm processing this, one of our snipers from my helicopter, he was running around the entire compound to keep a perimeter. He had a dog with him and a dog handler. And he got to that famous spot where the tail is hanging over.
Yes.
And he came over the radio, and he didn't know it crashed. And he said, guys, be on alert. They are definitely ready for us. They have a training mock-up of our super secret helicopter in the front yard. And there's a pause.
No way.
And the boss goes, no, you jackass, that's ours. We crashed.
No way.
And he comes over and goes, yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
My God.
And I'm in the house like, what are we talking about
That's
right
crazy.
now?
And so you're hearing this, you're looking down this hallway.
Yeah.
Probably at the end of that hallway somewhere is Osama bin Laden,
Well, down the
right?
hallway is going to be a stairwell.
A stairwell.
And
What's your heart rate right now?
Fine. We're good.
Are you serious?
Yeah, we'd been in...
Because of your preparation?
Well, yeah, we've been in so many fights before. It's like you didn't really get adrenaline. You're more aware, but it's just more exciting. I'm not scared.
Okay.
At this point, but there's a series of emotions that happen right here because the female analyst who found bin Laden said, I don't know what the inside of the house looks like, but you will find some stairs. And when you find the stairs, you will run into Khalid bin Laden, who's 20 years old, his son.
Yeah.
And here's how cool she was. She said, that will be the last line of defense. If you eliminate that threat, you will get a shot at the big guy. That's awesome.
Okay.
So we got in through the door. They breached it. We're going up the stairs. And I'm about eight guys back. So I'm still in the back. They saw Khalid. He was armed, and he ducked behind a banister.
Okay.
Now it's dark. It's very quiet. We don't talk to each other. And there's a guy up front, the point man. And normally in an urban environment, in a house, fighting upstairs, I'm going to grab all the guys back and let like 2 or 3 handle it, because if they chuck a grenade, they come down.
Right.
Don't fight up. And but now I'm like, I'm going to die anyway, and I gotta watch this. I got to see how is he going to pin the thing? Was he going to run at him? And we're just sitting there, and he whispered to Khalid. He said, "Khalid, come here. Khalid, come here." In 2 different languages. He knew "come here" in Urdu and Arabic.
Is that why he was where he was?
No, he just was that smart of an operator.
Wow.
And that confused Khalid. So Khalid leaned his head over to ask what, and he shot him.
Oh my gosh.
I never would have thought of that. That was brilliant.
My gosh, that's brilliant.
That was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life up until about a minute
what's
later.
about to happen, right?
so we go upstairs, stepped over Khalid, and then we got to the 2nd floor, and then there's a final stairwell going up. The point man stayed there staring. You know, he's gonna keep point, keep security, and other guys are gonna clear the 2nd floor, because you don't want to move past it. Clear that, and then that's everyone in front of me, and I'm the last guy. I ended up what we call the 2-man. So the 1 man's there, I'm the 2-man, and that's when I put my hand on his shoulder, because his job is to look forward, my job is to look behind us. And when we have enough guys, I will squeeze you, so you know without looking, it's time to go. But it's just us.
Wow.
We're out of guys. We don't have enough guys in a house this big. And he started talking. He's like, "Hey, we got to go. We got to get up there," because there's a curtain at the top of the stairs, and he's seeing people moving behind it. They've got to be suicide bombers. Maybe we can beat them. Maybe we can beat him. So he's convincing me we got to go. And finally, and I don't know what he was thinking, because he's just a complete badass. But I wasn't thinking bravery. I'm thinking, all right, we're going to get blown up now, and I'm tired of thinking about it. Let's get it over with. And so I squeezed him. Went up the stairs.
Let's go.
Let's go. Him and me. Went up the stairs, he opened the curtain, and there was 2 or 3 people that turned out to be women, but when they're suicide bombers, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So he jumped on them, and he tackled them.
He's dying.
He's jumping on the grenade.
He thinks he's dying.
Yes.
He's jumping on the grenade.
Absorbing as much of the blast as he can for the guy behind him. He didn't know it was me. So because, and this is simply how I got there, because he went that way, my job is to go that way, based on our tactics. I wasn't bravado. I just turned, and there's Osama bin Laden standing there. And he's got his hands on his wife's shoulders, and he's sort of pushing her. I don't know what he's doing, but when I go through the rules of engagement, the levels, escalation of force, I can close my eyes and see it. He's taller than I thought. He's skinnier than I thought. That his beard is shorter and gray. That's his nose. That is bin Laden. He's not surrendering. He's a threat. I need to kill him. And the way you handle, and I've gotten a little criticism about, well, you shot him in the face, and what about recognition? People that say that, and I've never dealt with a suicide bomber. I've dealt with suicide bombers very fast, very sudden, loud, scary, and permanent. So I shot him in the face twice, shot him again, and I moved his wife.
Why do you have his hands on her shoulders?
I don't know. I don't know if he was using her as a shield. I don't know if he was confused. I don't know. But I moved his wife to the bed to sit her down, and when I looked over, his 2-year-old son was standing there. And as a father, I remember thinking, this poor kid has nothing to do with this, and he shouldn't have seen that. So I picked him up.
Oh my gosh.
And I put him next to his mom, and other Navy SEALs are now coming in the room. And that's when it hit me. So I'm standing there, and a buddy of mine saw me, and it's kind of depicted in the movie, it's pretty funny. He came up to me and he said, are you good? And I said, no. What do we do now? I'm like in a daze, and he said, he laughed, he smiled, this big smile, and he goes, now we go find the computers. We do this every night. And I went, yeah, you're right, I'm back. Holy shit. And he goes, yeah, you just killed Osama bin Laden, man. Your life just changed. Oh, so that was that. And then we get back to work, and it was just awesome, because how cool the guys are. It's not like, hey, this guy killed bin Laden. No one cares.
No one cares.
We got him.
We got him.
But then the emotions were not bravery to let's get it over with, to complete shock, to now, we might live. We might live. We might get to see our kids again.
Oh my God. Look at your face right there. That's the first time your face changed.
So we gather the stuff. They had about 3 offices in the 2nd floor. We're gathering everything from anything electronic, smashing hard drives to get, or smashing towers to get hard drives, anything. And then we put him in a body bag. Myself and 3 other guys walked him out.
You walked him out?
Yeah, we carried him out.
Can we go back for a second?
Sure.
I just want to ask you, when you shot him, I'm just curious, there's this moment, so it's him.
Yeah.
You've got your finger on a trigger, I suppose. Is there any, can you remember, can you process, was there any emotion at that time, any thought in your mind, or are you just executing what you've been prepared to do?
I was, I had a feeling he was off to the right when I turned, and when I saw him, had he had no shirt on and surrendering, he's getting taken alive.
Yeah.
But there is such suicide bombers have But terrorists have less than a second to convince you not to kill them.
Of course.
And it's one of those things. It's a different dynamic.
You get into rush at that point. Does your adrenaline finally kick in these moments, or are you just executing
It was
what
just
you're prepared
doing
to do?
what we do. The emotions came, 10 seconds later.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you're like, we might get out of here.
Yeah. Now let's find the stuff as quickly as we can and leave.
Okay.
So we're finding stuff. We brought him out.
You carry him out of there.
Yeah, we actually carried him out and put him at the feet of the sniper who initiated the fire, rescuing Richard Phillips, which is really cool. And then I remember actually running back in the house and saying, guys, it is time. We have got to leave. Forget about the women and children. Let's go. Because we had the guns with us. We took the guns that we found.
Okay.
And then we get on the helicopters. And when we got out there was a dude that was tweeting, a Pakistani dude. He's outside live tweeting, and I forget his name, but you can still see it on the internet.
Okay.
And he's saying stuff like, why are the Pakistanis doing military drills on a Sunday night?
No way.
And I'm looking at this guy, his face is lit up with his phone, and normally in a combat zone, Iraq, Afghanistan, if someone's outside of a target with a phone out,
Yeah.
you shoot them because they're setting off a car bomb.
Yeah.
But I looked at this guy and I'm like, they have no idea we're here.
No way.
So then we get in the helicopters, and we fly out.
It's not the same helicopter that
No,
brought
it's a
you over
different one.
there.
Now, the guys that I talked about that I thought got shot down came in to get us, which is awesome.
Okay.
SEALs getting SEALs.
Yeah.
So we get on the helicopter. I'm sitting on top of the sniper with the Captain Phillips thing. Well, he was cool too because he had a problem dealing with that something that high profile after he killed. There's jealousy in there with guys at that level, and I kept telling him, man, you were a hero. Don't listen to the negativity. You're a hero, and like I would always give him Copenhagen. I used to dip at the time.
Dip.
So now I'm laying on top of him, and I'm still processing what just went down. He hands me Copenhagen and says, "Hey, have one of mine. Now you know what it's like to be a hero."
That's unfreaking believable,
And then
brother.
the SEAL next to me from the other SEAL team that came to get us, I know him well. He's from Manhattan. And he asked me the first question that every Navy SEAL asked when they found out about the mission. He said, "Who got him?" And I said, "I did." And he said, "On behalf of my family, thank you." Oh my God. Now we're flying out. And you realize we got 90 minutes.
And you're still in their airspace.
Well, we just took off.
Right.
We have 90 minutes.
Yeah, you're in Pakistani airspace though when you're flying out, right?
But if we cross the border in 90 minutes, we get 50 years of life. So we take off, everyone starts to watch as no one's talking. You're just looking at your watch. 10 minutes. It's been 20 minutes. It's been 30 minutes. It's been 40 minutes. And then you start to think of like the no-hitter you're watching get pitched at Yankee Stadium, top of the sixth. I'm not going to say anything, but 50 minutes, 60, 70, 80. And then I love sports analogies.
Yeah.
It's like Miracle on Ice when you can hear the crowd
Yeah.
counting down when the Americans are beating the Russians.
Yeah.
Lake Placid, 10, 9, 8. And then the pilot came over the radio, as cool as pilots are, and he said, "All right, gentlemen, for the first time in your lives, you're going to be happy to hear this. Welcome to Afghanistan."
My God.
So then we cheer, and then we get back. We land. The other guys came in because they had to stop and refuel the other stealth bird. They land. We're all there. No one's hurt.
Oh my gosh.
I had a brief talk with Here's my one problem with the movie, Zero Dark 30. At the end of the movie, they have the woman that found him go up to the body, and she gets emotional, and she cries, and she leaves. That's not what happened.
Okay.
We get back. I'm talking to the point man. We kind of debrief each other on what the hell happened on those stairs, because it's him and me.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "Well, hey, there she is. He goes, you need to give her something because you own this." This is what he said. So we walk over, and I pulled the magazine out of my gun, holding the bullets to kill bin Laden. I jacked the last one out, and I said, "Do you have room for this in your backpack?" And she looked up cool as ever. She goes, "Yeah, I think so." Then we were the ones that walked her over to the body. And as we're walking over, it's starting to sink in that this woman gave her life for him. She, no husband, no kids, 20-hour days for years to find this guy. Then it's like, well, this is historic too. This is like Iwo Jima. This is Normandy. This is Washington crossing the Delaware to fight the Hessians. So I got to say something cool. So we walk over and we look down, and all I said was, "Is that your guy?" She looked down for a second and a half and said, "Well, I guess I'm out of a fucking job."
Did she really say that?
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
Come on.
That's how cool she was.
This is the best story I've ever heard. No, it's the best story of all time.
So
It's
here's
the best story of all time.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you. It's incredible what happened. And what's cool is I just got to watch everything. Like the guys were working. I turned a corner, shot 3 times, and we left.
well, brother, okay. Nice
You should
try.
have seen. You
Nice
should have
try.
seen those guys breaking those doors down.
Yeah.
So cool. But one quick
yeah.
thing just about the families, because
Yeah.
we got back to see the kids. We were A year to the day after the Bin Laden raid, I had my kids at Great Wolf Lodge, which is a water park.
Yeah.
And we have the news on, 1 year anniversary, we're all getting changed to go swim, have a great day, and they got beer there, so I'm excited.
Yeah.
And the news is on, and they said, okay, it's the 1 year anniversary of the night Bin Laden was killed, so we're taking viewer email right now. The best story of where you were when you found out Bin Laden was dead.
Come on.
Tell us. And my daughter flipped out. She goes, oh my God, Dad, you've got to email him and tell him you were in his bedroom.
I was in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, brother. Look, I've sat across from a lot of people and I've heard a lot of stories. I mean, even look at our guys. It's just unreal. And the way you tell it with such incredible humility is just beyond belief. And I understand clearly that this would not have happened just with you. It was obviously all the preparation, the intelligence, the team building, all of those things. But it's hard even for me to process how humble you are about having. I mean, first I want to thank you.
It's an honor.
On behalf of all of these families who lost so many people, and it's just unreal to me that the caliber of man that's involved in this mission and how humble they are about it just absolutely blows my mind. I'm looking at even our folks. It's just unreal. And to this day, that you still have this sense of humility about it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it was obvious that the team, the people that found him, the pilots, like the guys that went in. We're smart enough to carry guns and a sledgehammer, and we got. I mean, obviously, I'm down talking that, but the guys there were the team was incredible.
Who thinks that this guy walks into a military recruiting office, is going to go into a different branch of the military, can't swim, ends up becoming a SEAL, ends up doing 400 different combat missions, probably the most significant of all of them is this one, and you end up being the man God called on, whoever called on, to be the point man to end this man's life is just unfreaking believable.
It's a crazy story. It's to the point now too. It's like there's no way we did that. I just know the story.
Yeah. Is that what it is for you?
Yeah. How did that happen? I can close my eyes and see it. And I can see Osama bin Laden anytime I want. I can close my eyes and smell the stairs, what it was like going up that last few steps of life. But then getting life after.
When you squeeze this man, you're probably dying.
Yes.
Right?
We're going to go up there and blow up. They're going to blow us up. They're waiting for us. They're baiting us in. That's when they're setting off the house-borne improvised explosive device. This is it. I'm done worrying about it.
It's interesting for me. It's a bizarre takeaway of the things I'm listening to your story. And obviously I can't relate to any of it because I'm not that caliber of a man. My emotions wouldn't be as calm. I don't have your preparation. I don't have your mindset. I don't have your background. It's interesting that the point that still gives me fear as I hear the story, and I'm just gonna, maybe no one's told you this before, is just a regular guy, right? Is now he's dead, right? My fear level almost increased there, oddly. So like you were executing a plan prior, now he's dead. The part that you said that, we might really live, that was the part where, just for me, my fear went up like, now we're in this house, clearly this event's taken place, probably someone knows this has been happening. Yeah. There's a clock ticking.
Yes.
Then I'd be afraid when I got on the helicopter.
Oh yeah, because
that 80-minute ride. Now the unknown's happening too.
I have heard stories, and again, probably classified. I don't know the truth, but I have heard stories that they did have air support. Helping us get back. We didn't know that.
You didn't know it.
I knew there were jets on the border, but that's not going to help us back here. But I think if an American and an F-15 lights up a Pakistani guy in an F-16, I think that he'll turn around. But I don't know. But
let's take away some lessons from all of this. It's the best story I've ever heard, and thank you for sharing it with me. I feel blessed that I'm with you.
Thank you.
I mean that. Can I ask you some hard things?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just curious of your.
Oh, that's the best time.
I'm curious of your opinion of a few things, and I've just always wondered this. Are you? I did not know that you showed her his body. That's fascinating to me. When I heard the whole story of what happened there, the part of me that went, that sounds odd to me, was the fact that he was dumped in the ocean afterwards. Yeah. Can you confirm that?
Yeah.
Do you not know?
We gave him. In Bagram Airfield to some of our Army counterparts that brought out and put him to sea, and I've seen the coordinates. I wasn't there for the burial, but I have heard from people that it definitely happened.
And so you believe that story?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I believe it.
Okay.
It's just interesting why we would do that, because they said they didn't want a shrine to bin Laden, but if you do a little research and realize he was a Wahhabist, they don't do shrines. They don't do names on anything because you do not have a shrine to false idols. It's just Allah. They don't. That's why you can't even draw a picture of Muhammad because he's not Allah. He's a messenger.
Right.
And that's so that I don't know.
Okay.
Now we do have pictures.
Okay.
There are a lot of pictures, and they're in a file cabinet in Langley, and I really hope they get released.
Is that right?
Oh,
so,
yeah, they're
so
there.
someday at some point that
They
won't
will.
be classified
They
stuff
will.
and
They
somebody
will.
will see it. Okay.
Someone will need to get elected.
Yeah.
Or something at the show.
Okay.
But they'll definitely, and I mean, I've seen the pictures. I know people in Congress who have seen the pictures.
Okay.
They're there, they're real. The body thing, I just simply because I didn't see it, but I know what happened.
Okay, you know what happened. And then the second thing I'm just curious about, this is a hard question because, and I'm not going to debate you on it or anything like that. I'm just curious of your opinion because you and I were talking off camera about our political beliefs. We both have some really conservative beliefs and some pretty liberal beliefs.
Yes.
Both of us do,
Yes.
right? We're not one way or the other, but I'm curious that the story that you hear is that there was probably some enhanced interrogation stuff that may have led to the intelligence. Do you believe that's true?
I know it is.
That is true.
Yeah.
And so how does that paint your feelings about those tactics going? Because right now, and then when this release will be a little bit after, but this is it's a prominent thing right now in the media right now with a lady heading into the CIA and her taking a lot of flack for those techniques that probably produced the story you just told me. How do you feel about that?
Enhanced interrogation works. And it's administered by doctors. It's not like they have them in a cage and someone's whipping them. They're stress position, sleep deprivation, and waterboarding. Okay, that's SEER school for us, survival, evasion, resistance, escape. They teach you what it's like. And the thing about waterboarding not being torture is that as soon as you decide, it all ends and there's no damage. It just really, really sucks. But you figure out, well, if I just tell them stuff, they're going to not do it. Now, torture doesn't work, and I'll admit that because it's so. But torture's power drills and blow torches, you know. And you're saying anything to make them stop. With waterboarding, it's just over and you're good, and then you have tea. That's it. And even guys like I know the doctor who interrogated Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the mastermind of 9/11, and what Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and these leaders in Al Qaeda, don't get me wrong, they're very charismatic. And their people love them, and they're true believers.
Yes.
They're doing it for religious reasons.
Yes.
And Khalid Sheikh Mohammed said to Dr. Mitchell, I don't know why you guys think you can just come in here and bring cookies and win hearts and minds. He explained to them that this is what we're doing. Like, he cut off Daniel Pearl's head with these blessed hands, is the way he said it. And because he's going to heaven. And it's a very selfish thing to do. And he even asked him to the point where, why do the senior leaders never blow themselves up? Why is it always the junior guys? And he explained it, it's almost like a pyramid scheme, where if you can convince someone to do it, you get more of their heaven.
Is that right?
I started calling it Amway for Allah.
Oh
something like that. But he's like wow. we believe this is what, and
they actually believe this.
Yes, but waterboarding works, and it led to Bin Laden.
And had they captured you while you were there, you probably weren't going to just be waterboarded.
No.
Right? There's
If
probably
they
something.
captured, well,
I don't mean by just waterboarding, but there's probably something coming far more severe for you guys.
We have a saying that in gunfights, save at least one bullet for yourself, because you do not want to get captured. I mean, just cutting your head off is a nice way out. They're sadistic. And I don't even like thinking about it.
Yeah, you're making me think about it as you say it, which, by the way, makes the story more compelling when you squeeze him, because there's all kinds of things that could happen. You could have been blown up there, you could have been captured. It's unbelievable. So thank you so much. Now, I want to continue the conversation a little bit because you have a chance. This is team building.
Yeah.
Okay? This is leadership. This is execution. So there's all kinds of people in the business space that can tell you some it's sort of silly even to say right now, some theories about how to build a team and how to execute and how to prep. And then there's like real world business application. And then there's like real world, change the world team building, business preparation, and execution of a plan, which is what you've been a part of. And so talk a little bit for a second. First off, in your case, they can learn from you. In other words, you don't have to just watch this interview. They can get access to you. You can come and tell them the different venues just for a second. I want to make sure they know. One is your book, right?
Yes.
That's a huge place. Second place, though, is you can come speak.
Yes.
And when he speaks, just so you know, he's not only a great speaker, but like when you listen to him speak, you're going to write pages of stuff. It's not just like anecdotal stories like you've just heard. Every story is related to a point of building a team. So how do they find you to speak, number one, and where do they find you on social media as well?
I work with leading authorities out of Washington, D.C. So it's leading authorities, I believe, or lauthorities.com.
Yep.
Leading authorities Google search will do that. RobertJO'Neill.com, because if it's not a keynote presentation, and I do stuff like I show up for workshops or
Yes.
even dinners just to stand around and talk. So robertjoneil.com
Okay.
is there. And then the social media is the funny one.
It's so funny.
It's Mchuya, Mchoyah, and the reason it's
Tell them how it happened.
the reason it's Mchuya is because in SEAL training people say Hooyah.
Yeah.
You stop saying it when you're done with training, just like shipmate. I love the word shipmate, but you say it all the time.
Okay.
But anyway, Mchuya is the Irish Hooyah. O'Neill's Irish,
Yes.
and Mchuya is the Irish Hooyah. And some buddies of mine convinced me to get on Twitter just because the 7 of us could mess with each other and tweet stuff out with 7 followers, and then my name leaked. Was killing bin Laden. I woke up with like 15,000 followers.
That's
it's
so
like,
crazy.
All right, I guess I'm keeping Mchuya.
Okay.
So
And by the way, it's entertaining and informative social media too. You need to follow him. And
yeah,
by the way,
it's more entertainment than anything.
I would agree with that. This is informative. That stuff's more entertaining, but it's awesome
I use
stuff.
it on long flights to keep myself entertained.
It's so good, and your content, like for me, you know, I've been in this space for a long time. For me to honestly tell you, like I really learn things when someone speaks. I really learn things because I believe, like if I go to a gym, I want to be trained by someone who's fit.
Yes.
I've always think it's funny when I go to a gym and the trainer there isn't in shape themselves.
Yeah, that's
or I
funny.
want a business mentor, but they're not successful or wealthy themselves. Like show me your results. I think we can safely say that you understand leadership, team building, and execution of a plan and preparation. I
That's
think
what,
that's safe to say.
and that was just because of my mentors that I had working places. Because I would even the first few gunfights I was in, watching my senior guys, senior Navy SEALs, how cool they were, and I was like, well, I want to be that cool. So
Yeah.
I want to do what he does. I want to learn from him. What are his habits? And
What is different about, let be real for a second here. Take the humble hat off. Marcus Luttrell, yourself, the SEAL who was in front of you, any of the SEALs on this raid, any of them anywhere. Because you meet, you know those guys, and then you know other guys. You went to high school with a really good dude,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I do.
What's the difference?
The difference is, I think the thought that every day I get to go to work with people who are better than me, and I'm not going to undermine them. I'm going to try to beat them. And a lot of these are complete alpha guys, but they knew that it was important as a team to be nice to each other, be good to each other. I had bosses. 2 things. One of my bosses would say is he'd say please and thank you. You don't need to say that in the military. And he would always say nobody ever worked for me; they worked with me. And just that's the mentality of a team. That it's almost like, I mean, it's weird because guys do get credit for stuff, but as long as you don't care who gets credit, as long as the team succeeds, that's kind of the mentality. And guys show up on time, stay late, and the gear's always right. They're meticulous.
Meticulous. You think that's a big difference?
That is. Well, I mean, too, with the Captain Phillips raid.
Yeah.
That team had never done a rescue. We were designed to rescue since 1980, so over 25 years it had never been done. And the snipers that took those shots, 3 days prior were in their beds in Virginia Beach, and their guns didn't need to be sighted in for the most difficult shots of their lives, but their guns were sighted in for the most difficult shots of their lives because they were prepared. It might happen. I mean, it's a long weekend. We've never done. It was my birthday when we left. I mean, I'll just take a day off and take care of my gear on Tuesday, but we didn't do that because that's a shortcut.
Let's talk about that for a second. I want you to picture this because these are humans. So you hear the story, and it is a movie, but it wasn't a movie when it happens. He's like a real man. He has real family. He had a real upbringing. He has real insecurities, real weaknesses and strengths, even fears, right? So he's a real person like you, right? And so he's been able to achieve extraordinary things in his life. I want to take this moment now for you just to picture this for a second. Tell them the story, and I love this, about where you were and what you were doing, because it humanizes this, I think people see you and I think they think, I'm just not like him. And there are things about you that you've built that are muscles mentally and physically you've built that are different than other people, many of which you're not even aware of because it's who you are now, right? But he's also a father. He's a husband. He makes mistakes in his life. Oh yeah. Right? He's all these different things. Tell him, just picture this. You guys have all probably seen the movie Captain Phillips, right? So he was a part of that. I just want you to picture this for a second. Just think about it. You think a James Bond movie and you think this stuff is sort of bizarre. It doesn't really work this way. Right. And then just when you picture this, tell them where you were and what you were doing when you got the call to go do this.
It was my birthday, April 10th, and it was Good Friday.
Okay.
And I'm at my daughter's Easter tea party at her preschool. In a buffet line with sailors and Marines who have kids in the class, and we're getting cookies and cupcakes for them and bringing them tea. And I was walking over to my daughter when I got the message that it didn't say it like this. We had a code, but that Captain Richard Phillips had been taken by Somali pirates, and you guys are going right now. And we'd been selling this technology that, like I said, we never done it. We trained for it all the time.
Yeah.
But from the time you get the message to the time wheels up and we're going, we sold it. We've been selling it for decades, 4 hours. We were wheels up in 3 hours and 59 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I'm like, we got to make it. Like, this is it. And then 15 hours and 46 minutes after I got the message, we're in the Indian Ocean with a full head count. 103 guys. And like I had this here, but just to back up, there were guys out there that were mowing their lawns when they got the call. Like, these are real guys that can't afford the mortgage, and they're mowing their own lawn, and then they're off.
Unreal.
And you don't know what's going to happen when you go over there.
It's just like the reason it's so inspiring for me, like mind blowing. Number one, you're carrying a little pink cupcake.
Yeah.
15 and a half hours later, here we go.
We're in.
It's game on,
Yeah.
right? And so for me, it's so inspiring because I do think you're a real person. Like, I do think you're a regular guy.
I do too.
Right? And so people that listen to this, if he can come from where he came from, this is crazy and it's not overstating. And I know you hate hearing this, but altered world history.
Yeah, crazy.
Altered world history.
Yeah, dude.
Right? From Montana, carrying cupcakes at his daughter's elementary school on his birthday.
Yeah.
What could you do in your business? What could you do in your body?
You can do anything. There's a couple sayings I love. I'm all about moving forward, and one of my sayings is I'm as old as I've ever been, but I'm as young as I'll ever be, which means life starts now. Right now it starts. I had an instructor before Hell Week. Hell Week is in training when you wake up on Sunday and you do Navy SEAL training until Friday. It's miserable. Like, your body starts to bleed by Wednesday because you're so saturated from the ocean right here. Mother Ocean is not kind. And he gave me advice to get through Hell Week, but it's great advice for life. He said, you are about to go to war for the first time, and the enemy is all your doubts, all your fears, and everyone you know back home that told you you weren't good enough to do this.
Oh my God.
Keep your head down, keep moving forward, no matter what, never quit, you'll be fine. That's it. And that's what he told me before Hell Week. And now that's life. Keep moving forward. You're going to make mistakes. We talked about failure. That's how you learn. And I've failed. I've fallen down. Get up. Dust off. Look yourself in the mirror. Be honest. Why did I do that? What do I learn?
I don't.
But it's all good advice because it's like, you're going to screw up. Tell me anyone that's not screwed up. Pretty much every day.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's never a no-fail mission, but it's like a no-lose. Like, you win or you learn.
Unreal, brother. Like, I don't even. That's crazy. So let's talk about these guys that are mowing their lawns. I'll be honest with you, man. I've done a lot of interviews. I know a lot of people. I've interviewed a lot of successful people. Like, you don't catch me speechless very often. So I want people to get access to you.
Great.
I think it's an amazing time in history, which hasn't existed before, where, I mean, honestly, there are people driving in their car right now, working out at their gym, and they're getting access to a man who's altered world history for freaking free. And they can come hear you speak for pennies on the dollar and be in a room with you and meet you and have their life altered and inspired and moved. There's never been a time in history where people who have achieved great things can say, hey, I'm just like you, I'm a goofball. I was at my daughter's elementary school, I make mistakes, I fall down. I didn't even mean to be in the Navy SEALs in the first place. Like, it's just unreal. It ought to give you such hope and such inspiration. But I want to talk for a second about some of the good work you do, because I want people to know about this too. These guys that are mowing their lawns.
Yes.
And these men that are at their, and women, by the way, who are at their daughter's elementary school and can't pay the mortgage, even sometimes active duty struggling, then leave the military.
Yes.
Now, this man, just so you know, and I'll just say this on your behalf, left short of his 20 years.
Yes.
And so there aren't health benefits that come your way. There's nothing that comes your way, which is sort of amazing to me. And I just say this on your behalf, that someone who's had 400 combat missions, has been decorated with valor as many times as you have, changed the world on multiple missions. We don't have a way to give you some health insurance and to take care of you. And so because that's the way it is, and you don't need to comment on that, I say that on your behalf, that's crazy. But because that is the way it is, you've got involved and started something charitably that helps people when they transition out to find careers. So talk to them a little bit about your foundation a little bit.
Yes, I started a foundation called Your Grateful Nation. So that's yourgratefulnation.org. And we transition right now it's special operators because we're individualized, we're just kind of a small group, transition them to their next career. So we find out where they want to live, the industry they want to be a part of. We'll make the introduction to that company, and then we have a mentorship program, 7 to 9 months. and then they're trained. And these employers now are saying that these guys don't realize what they're bringing to the table, even without a college degree, but they're bringing the stress management, problem solving, team building. The one word they use all the time is the loyalty. Because they're not getting that from people with a degree right now. The colleges aren't teaching that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But they get them there and they put them in charge of anything, like major projects. We have guys working for Merrill Lynch. We have a guy that wanted to live in Phoenix and work for Fox Sports. He's doing that. And we're talking Green Berets, Rangers, TF-160th pilots, Navy SEALs. And so yeah, I started that because I didn't realize what I was capable of when I got out, but I learned through mentors that there's stuff out there people are interested in. And so now, and it's even amazing to talk to the guys. Even the guys that retire, they're like, well, what am I qualified for? Yeah. It's like they would almost rather go back to war than fill out a resume because war makes sense to them. But they don't realize that combat is solving problems.
Oh my gosh.
And that's, so Your Grateful Nation, we do that. The best email I get once, twice a week is when they, one, tell me who they transitioned to where, and then from one of the spouses saying, without Your Grateful Nation, we wouldn't have gotten a second career. And they realize, the two funny things is they realize what they're worth.
Yeah.
Then they also realize what their fair share in taxes is.
Yeah, right. Now you're going to learn that.
Yeah,
now
by the way.
now you're going to learn about all this, the rich pay all the taxes thing. So the amazing thing about, thank you for doing that work, the amazing thing about it is these are men who are, and women who are a part of the greatest team and then became some of the greatest on that team as special operators. Like these are the most elite of the elite, like this gentleman across from me. So let's finish with just a couple tips. Thank you so much for today.
Oh,
so
great.
before, by the way, like honestly, let's talk a little bit for a second about team building, because these are things that you teach. So there's people out there that have companies, they're watching you right now. They're going to have you come speak to their company. But give them a flavor for a second. What were some of the couple keys, just give us a few, there's a million probably, of building a team like the one you were part of? Is it just, it's interesting, but part of me thinks, man, like you certainly end up with pretty damn good talent by the time you get to SEALs and stepper operators. But what are some of the keys in building a team that people out there should know about for you?
Morale is key. That when people feel like they are part of the solution, they're going to work harder. Effective communication. Because a lot of people disagree with this, but I always thought that if our people know what they're doing and why. A lot of people don't want to say why because they want to compartmentalize it. I think they should know why they're doing it. And when you're done saying what you're saying, stop saying it. The noise that comes with everything. Just get the message out there and we're good. One of my favorite quotes, I don't know where to give credit, is never pass up the opportunity to shut up. For people that lead too, they realize that a lot of the work gets done because your team is there. Like sometimes if the boss doesn't show up, the work still gets done. But if the people don't show up, not a lot of work's going to get done, stuff like that. Be good to each other. The emotional thing, like try to keep your emotions in check because your body always follows your mind. And it's like the nasty text message you want to send someone. Type it up because it's going to make you feel better. Do not hit send for 24 hours. And if you're still mad 24 hours, it's legit.
You literally should have told me that like 3 years ago.
Oh, I believe me, I'm a victim of it. Yes, stop tweeting that.
So many damn messages like that.
But yeah, so just the morale being high, the emotionless conversations that hopefully you can have, the realization that the plan's not going to work the way Murphy shows up. Anything that you do can get you killed, including nothing, like just stuff like that. And then the never quit. You know, is it really? Are you having a bad day? Or are you having a bad moment? You're milking into a bad day. And the best advice I have for people is get over it. Just fix it and get over it.
This is so gold, brother. Like I don't even know. You're like it's interesting. You talk about the why, and it's like well, where's that come from? Well, you end up with the guy, the point man in front of you, or at least you're getting ready to go on the mission. Say, now tell me again, like why are we doing this? And you're like,
that's it.
And you told him why, and that visual of that mom.
Well, we had to tell ourselves that we had these conversations, and that's it. That's why we're doing it.
Probably of all of this, it surprises me the most that you did have some of those conversations. That and also the emotionless, another point you just made, helicopter ride over. Where guys are sleeping and they're just getting in their state, they're getting focused, they're counting. Like that also has application. And then over meeting, you're so right. Like even in business, I watch all the time. There's this book I read called Death by Meeting. It's like when you're done saying something, stop freaking saying it and go execute, right? All right, last question. Don't be humble for a second. Okay, be real with me here. What's different about men like you? In other words, if I want to be a person like you.
None of us, including myself, are victims. Nobody owes us anything. You can get it, but you got to go get it. and that was the key. That was when guys would say, "Stop being a victim."
There are in your position, I assume your brothers all come from this victim thing, different socioeconomic backgrounds,
totally, yeah.
right? Different ethnicities.
Yep.
Some had great families.
You know
they
what's
came
neat
from.
about the ethnicities too is it didn't matter who you were. 85% of you were not going to make it. That's it. 85% of the white guys, 85% of the black guys, you're not going to make it.
Oh my gosh,
It's crazy.
Right.
The system just works that way.
It's just unreal. That's a pretty damn good equalizer to look past skin color, isn't it? None of us are going to make it. 85% of us aren't going to make it, and we're dependent on each other if we're going to make it. So it really doesn't matter what your religion, your faith, your political views are.
It doesn't matter.
When you have a common purpose and a common mission and a common thing you want to accomplish, yours was, hey, 85% of us aren't going to make it. It's interesting how you come together. It's interesting how you gel. It's interesting how all your differences aren't differences, they're similarities. They don't care if you're gay or straight, black or white, Muslim or Christian. We come together in a mission. So that's one of the great lessons for the country too, is that if we could unify in a common mission, a common dream, a common goal, most of these things you see on the news every single night where they're pitting us against each other would go away in about 1 second if we get a common goal and mission.
That's it. Well, even with, I got a friend who's did 20 years as a Navy SEAL, one of the best SEAls ever, and then is transgender.
Yes.
And it's just funny the way people try to get a rise out of us. They're like, well, what do you say to your buddy that's transgender? You go, I don't know, say nice tits, bro.
Exactly, right.
Whatever.
I love him, right? He contributed to the mission. And like, I hope probably now, it's just move forward. I didn't think I would get there. This is actually now my favorite part of the interview, because you can have one of the thoroughbred studs of all time. I'm one of the things you'd think, a white, successful businessman guy, and we're both telling you that we don't care about those things. We care about coming together, making a dream happen, making the mission happen, making a difference. Team in the mission. So, man, I love that. It's such a great lesson for you building a company, for our leaders in politics, for our people in the media. When we're chasing something in common, when there's a common mission, the differences go away, and that's what we ought to be chasing. My favorite conversation, literally.
That's very cool. Thank you.
Man, look, hey.
It's mine too.
All respect. Thank you, brother. All respect to the people who've been on my show. I love all of them, and I hope one exceeds this someday. I really do. But
I'm not leading that way just yet.
But as of now, and it's wonderful to hear that's reciprocated. So, brother, really, thank you so much.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
God bless you, and thank you for your service, and thanks for sharing this with the audience.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Follow this man, Robert O'Neill, on all of his social media. Book him to speak at your gigs. Go get his book. Title of the book again is
The Operator.
The Operator. I read it in a day. One of my favorite books I've ever read. And again, I want to remind you all this too. All this comes to you for free. All I ask for is review the program, share it with people. If you're on YouTube, give it a like, but if you're on iTunes, give it a review. And every day on Instagram, when I make a post, there's a 2-minute drill called the Max Out 2-minute drill. If you make a comment, you get engaged with hashtag Max Out, I get you a winner every day. That could be gear, it could be a coaching call with me, it might be access to one of my guests, but every day we surprise a guest with a win. So make a comment every day on my social media. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Robert.
Thanks,
and Max Out.